All right. Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Creators Corner here with TubeBuddy. I'm really excited for this session today, you guys. So this is going to be a really good session. I've got our good friend, Saidah Murphy. She's the founder and CEO of SM Media Enterprises in the Creatress universe and working as a media production specialist and coach. She equips women of color with the knowledge, support, and resources needed to tell their stories in the most authentic, unfiltered, and unapologetic way through creative media production. Today, we're going to be talking about virtual summits. And so I'm going to share her page here, and she's going to be jumping and joining me here pretty soon, but want to share her website here. She's also launching a course. Super excited for this. I know that in our audience, there's lots of creators that are looking to run their own virtual summits for a number of reasons. And so really excited. If you guys are here with me, make sure you say hello in the chat. Let me know if this is your first time, type in new, or if you've been with us here before. So I'm going to bring Saidah Murphy onto the screen. Hey, Saidah, how are you? Oh, one second. There you go.
You're can you hear me now? Hi, everyone. How are you?
You're good. Good. So you guys might be familiar with Saidah with some of her work that she's done in the past, but Saidah, why don't you say hello to everybody here in the world of TubeBuddy in our community, everyone joining us online. A little bit about yourself.
Hi. Go ahead. So I am a Detroit girl, originally born and raised in Detroit, and now reside in San Diego. Like Rob was saying, I'm the founder and CEO of SM Media Enterprise in the Creatress universe. And we're a community that uplifts women of color who work in the media industry, who work in the film aspect, podcasting aspect, writing aspect of the media industry. And we just give everyone the support and knowledge and tools that they need to be able to create their content, tell their stories without being censored, without being filtered, and where they can just be themselves. So that's me in the nutshell.
Great. Awesome. Really excited for you to be here with us, Saidah. We're going to be talking about a topic that I know fairly well, virtual summits. And we're pretty familiar with virtual summits over here at TubeBuddy. And so if you guys are joining us, let us know if you guys are looking to run virtual summits, if you guys have been involved in virtual summits. But yeah, that's what we're going to be focusing on today. So Saidah, tell us a little bit about why virtual summits should be something that a lot of creators and entrepreneurs and brands should be considering as part of their business plans.
Well, number one, in this time, we're locked in. So we have to learn how to adapt and shift our business models virtually. Thank you, pandemic. But even before pandemic hit, doing a virtual event or a virtual summit, it allows you to reach more people. It allows your content and your brand to become more accessible to people. Not a lot of people can pay money to come to a physical conference. Sometimes it's too far to travel. Sometimes it just doesn't align with the schedule. So having a virtual option where people are able to consume content at their own pace, at whatever location they want to, kind of opens up the door for you to engage with more people and expand your brand.
Yeah, absolutely. I like what you said there, accessible. Yeah. So right now we're not able to travel. A lot of people that would, a lot of speakers, a lot of experts that would normally be doing workshops or in-person speaking engagements can't do that anymore.
Right.
A lot of brands that would have their annual summit or their annual conference can't do that anymore. And so this is sort of our next best thing, right? Virtual summits and virtual events.
Absolutely.
So share a few things, because your background in this, I think that's probably a good place to start here, Saidah. So tell us a little bit about your background with running, events and summits and things like that.
So I was in the event planning industry for about 10 years before I moved into marketing and content creation. But even before the pandemic hit, I ran a virtual summit for my company. We did our first one a couple of years ago. And I just found it a really cool way to do it. Like, I was a webinar junkie. I did so many webinars, and I started seeing companies do these virtual summits. So I tested the waters, and I found out that a lot of people had a good response to it, and they were able to really consume that content at their own pace. So I adapted that business model. We did our second one this year, and it grew exponentially. So I know that they work because I saw the growth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's growing. And I'm sharing your website here, smmediaent.com. Also, you are launching a course to help entrepreneurs and brands out there to run their own virtual summit. So
Yeah.
give us a little tip on what that's all about.
Yeah. So after doing the summit this year with the company, a lot of people are like, well, we have to do this, especially because of the pandemic. So a lot of people were like, I want to do a virtual summit. I was considering virtual summits even before the pandemic hit, but I don't know what tech I need because there's a lot of moving pieces to virtual summits. There's content uploading. Sometimes you do live streams. You have to manage speakers. There's a lot of things that you need to do. So I wanted to put together all of the knowledge that I've compiled over the last couple of years doing these summits and really give people a blueprint. This is how you figure out what concept you want to do. This is how you recruit your speakers and manage them to get their information in on time in terms of their sessions. This is the tech that you'll need. This is how you host your event. This is how you give your attendees an experience that's not just staring at the screen. So that's what the summit course is all about. It's going to teach you step by step how to go from idea to completion and figure out how to plan that summit and also host it on the end.
Yeah, awesome. I know for a fact from experience running a virtual summit, we recently ran one, I would say about 2-3 months ago here at TubeBuddy called the TubeBuddy Corn Stream. It was a 24-hour live stream summit. And there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of things to consider about. There's a lot of surprises that you'll find when you're running your first summit.
Absolutely.
You're like, I never thought of that. But now, so tell us, what are the three, there's a few things, but tell us maybe 3 really important things to consider when you're planning a virtual summit.
For me, I found the most important things, one are your speakers and the content that they deliver, because that's what people are coming for. They're coming for the content. So you want to make sure that you are curating speakers that are going to give valuable content, or it's a waste of time to do the summit. The second thing is the platform that you use and the tech that you use, because you want to make sure that that is accessible and easy to use for people. A lot of people aren't tech savvy, so you want to make sure that they can get in and view the content as easily as possible. And then the last thing, especially since we're locked in and we don't have that option of in-person interaction, it's an experience. We're inundated right now with virtual webinars and classes and meetings. So you want to be able to create an experience that stretches that attendee kind of out of that box of the screen and kind of gives them a different feel than the other things that they're consuming.
That's just a really good point. There's so many different summits as well. So you want to make sure you do stand out. There's an experience there for the audience and also for the speakers. So I want to dig into each of those things. So the first thing is your content and speakers. And so what's some advice there on picking, picking a topic, picking speakers and finding, curating top speakers for your event?
My first piece of advice would be know exactly what you're looking for. If you know, and not necessarily with the topic and how the speaker would deliver the content, but just know what type of value you want to offer to your attendees. And so if you know what you're looking for, then you know what type of speakers you can look for. My second piece of advice, and it's like a little secret thing, I'm not sure if a lot of people do this, but Facebook groups are my bread and butter when I'm looking for speakers. It's like so much untapped talent in Facebook groups. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't like Facebook groups. I'm in so many groups, I don't even know where to start. But if you find groups, like I'm in a lot of groups that are in my industry specifically, and that's where I found all of the speakers that I had this year at the summit. And the talent that I found within those groups was unbelievable. And then one more piece of advice, I would be research. If you're vetting a speaker, research them to make sure that they actually say who they are, that they are who they say they are. Because it might look nice in the application, but then you go on their social or you go on their website and it doesn't really line up, and you don't want to give someone the opportunity and they disappoint the audience or disappoint you. So just research and know who you're asking to speak before you ask them to speak.
I love that. Yeah. So check on the speakers, do your background research as well. Sounds like you have an application process for speakers. So that's really key as well. Yeah.
And I'm so sorry about the noise.
No, you're good.
people
You're good.
are leaf blowing, so I'm so
No,
sorry.
you're good. You're good. You've got a good microphone. Doesn't get all the.
Oh, good.
You're good. You're good. Yeah, I want to say hello to Alicia Nunali here. Says proud of Saidah Murphy. Awesome. Also, our good friend Jeff Bates, Dole Whip Dad on YouTube says, I'm hoping to get into virtual summits and in person someday. Summits for sure. So yeah. Absolutely. There's also a comment here from Twitter. Is there a recording? Yes. So if you head over to the TubeBuddy Facebook page, the recording and the replay will be available there. So I want to transition a little bit now to tech, right? Because when you're running virtual summits, obviously it's online. There's lots of different, tech tools that you and software that you probably need to learn. So what's some advice there with figuring out what tech to use, especially if it's just your first or second summit?
My first piece of advice would be use the tech that's in your wheelhouse. There are multiple levels of tech, and if you try and do tech that you're not familiar with or that you're not experienced with, then that can set you up for failure. So there are so many different ways that you can host a virtual summit. You can stream live on Facebook, or we set ours up through Kajabi and set it up like an online course, so you can do it that way. But use the tech that you are familiar with and that you're comfortable with. And then also just learn everything you can about that system. I was new to Kajabi when we did our virtual summit this year, but I spent time and I researched and I played around with the system for months before we had our summit. So I knew exactly how I can manage and exactly how I could support the attendees if anything came up. So just research and learn how to use that system well.
So doing some research, you'll be surprised how you can be creative with different tech, something that doing online courses you can use for summits and vice versa. It also depends on the format of your summit. But we got a really good question from Jeff Bates here, Dole Whip Dad. Hey, good to have you here. So what do you offer to speakers? This is a very good question. This is $1 million question here. The emails or contact info of registrants, but what else, if anything?
So this year we did an affiliate program model. I had over 30 speakers. So as much as I would have loved to pay each and every speaker, 30 speakers is a lot to pay. So we offered an affiliate program and they got 20% commission of the ticket. So I gave them a nice chunk of commission because I was like, you're giving your time, you're giving your information, your value and everything. So I want you to feel valued and everything like that. So I gave them a nice chunk of commission for that. But there are many different things that you can give. You can give them free promotion on your pages and everything like that. I didn't give them access to the email list, but I did give them a chance to promote their things. Like if they have free download or anything like that, they could link that to their session so that they can get emails that way. So you just got to be creative. There's a lot of different ways that you can support those speakers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm finding too, Saidah, I don't know if it's the same for you, but there's a lot of top experts that are open to non-monetary sort of compensation. Things what you just said there. Awareness is also something that they are open to getting. Right. Again, a lot of top speakers are not able to travel and stuff like that. So just getting in front of a new audience through a summit can be something that is also enticing for them as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit. You touched on it earlier, but the experience. So what are some advice there for people that want to run summits so that the attendees' experience is more than just them sitting in front of the screen and consuming videos and content. What are some ways to kind of, make your summits more engaging and more fun?
You just have to be extremely creative. With our summit, we had a 5-day summit. So on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of the summit, we did virtual events. So we had a virtual game night, we had a virtual happy hour, and we had a virtual pajama party. So, and we did that all through Zoom. So there are ways that you can be creative to kind of bring people in and kind of break the monotony of just sitting and consuming content. I also leveraged Facebook rooms. We had check-ins every morning and every afternoon for people who wanted to talk about the content that they consumed at that time. I just attended a virtual summit, and they did a lot of Zoom rooms and networking that way. And then they also had a Facebook group where they had people networking. So there are a bunch of different ways that you can do it. You can like host a challenge where you have your attendees do like a 10-day challenge, or do like a hashtag challenge, or whatever kind of challenge would fit with your brand. There are so many different ways. You just have to figure out what works for your brand and try and be as creative as possible.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I love the. I think the networking is one of the things that people like. They go to summits and conferences for. Yeah. So I love that. Facebook rooms is a new tool that a lot of people are starting to use now. Zoom breakout rooms. Again, you get into smaller groups and networking. Things like that. I like the challenges sometimes for. Yeah, on the question of Jeff's question there for speakers. Yeah, having like a leaderboard for all the referrals, for all the people. I remember that there was one, I think it was by Vidyard. I was a speaker on that, and every few days they would share like a little leaderboard, a screenshot. I was like, oh man, I'm number 3. All right, let's share it again.
I gotta get my people up. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's share it again. A little competition doesn't hurt. So I love that. There's a follow-up question here from Jeff. By the way, if you guys have any questions, this is probably a good time to start putting them in the chat. Any questions around virtual summits, running events online, online conferences, those sorts of things, ask your questions now. We've got the expert Saidah Murphy here. So Jeff is asking, so 20% of the registrants they bring, I assume. So is that like the commission rate?
Yeah. So every speaker that wanted to, I gave them the option. They signed up and they had their own unique affiliate link. So 20% of each ticket that they brought in. So they got 20%. So if the price was, I'm horrible at math. I use my calculator 100% of the time. But when we had the ticket price at $149, they got 20% of that $149.
Right. There you go. Awesome. Yeah. And the commission rate can vary,
It can vary. 20% is usually like really generous in terms of commission rates for affiliate programs. But I wanted to make sure that my speakers felt value, but please do whatever commission rate works best for you.
Exactly. Yeah. I've heard some summits, organizers give way more, and it just really depends on your goal. If your goal is to build a list, then maybe you're willing to give more to encourage somebody with a huge network to share with their network, right? So, and again, it doesn't cost you much upfront other than your time and energy to run a summit. So it might be something worthwhile for you if you want to build your list and that's your
Absolutely.
goal. So really good. What and why first? How challenging have you found for attendees to sit down for hours and consecutive days at a summit? I think it's a really fair question. What's your thoughts on that, Saidah?
I really wish I had metrics to share, because with Kajabi you can't track views. So next time I'm going to try and find a system where I can track how many people are viewing the content and when. But the beauty about a virtual summit is that they can consume that content whenever they want. People are in the different time zones, people work, people have kids. So you want to make sure that content is available for whenever they are ready to view it. But in order to keep that engagement, to figure out when people are consuming that content, or if they're sitting down and keeping up with your summit for consecutive days, that's where those networking events are going to come in. How many people can log into a Zoom at 6:00 on a Monday to check in and say, this is the content that I learned and everything like that. I also gave sections too, where people can do feedback. That there were comment sections under each session, and there were also a link to a feedback survey, so I can track when people are doing sessions that way, because they will watch a session in the morning and do the feedback survey. So it's different ways that you can track it, but the kind of like up in the air about virtual events is that you don't know when people are going to consume the content, because it's up to them to consume it when they want to.
That's right. That's sort of the whole point of it. But yeah, it's good to have a mixture of recorded content and then live streams as well, and the breakout sessions. So you kind of have all these different sort of like experiences that people can drop into. If they want to take a break from watching recorded video, then maybe they'll drop into a breakout room that you may have set up or scheduled. So having a really well planned summit like that, where people are engaged because of a variety of different types of sessions, is really, really important. Speaking of live streams, there's a question here from YouTube Live from Shayla Nicole. good to see you here, Shayla. Any suggestions on a good platform to use that will allow streaming and breakout/private sessions?
Well, Kajabi does streaming through YouTube. So if you wanted to do live streaming, you could do it on Kajabi. I'm most familiar with Kajabi. There is a system I attended this virtual conference over the weekend, and they use this system called Brushfire that I was extremely impressed with how they did it. They had multiple live streams, and they also had breakout sessions and everything like that. So I'm looking into Brushfire to see if I can leverage that. I can't remember the name of it. I think it's actually called Virtual Summit Platform, but I might be wrong. But that one has capabilities to stream as well. So it is based on what tech you're most familiar with, and what tech you want to invest in.
Yeah, really good advice. Yeah, there's so many different ways. You got to be creative, and just depends on sort of the experience you're trying to go for. But yeah, this is something that you do cover in the course that you're going to be launching, or is launched now, but starting in September, correct? So
yes.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about
tech and everything.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about, because I was actually looking through the curriculum. Very, very cool. It's like A to Z basically of everything. So talk us through the curriculum, what to expect for anyone that's kind of taking that course.
Sure. So the course is broken up into 6 modules. We'll go over concept development, where we'll talk about the goals for the summit, how you can create your planning timeline so that you know what dates you want to hit, how you can plan out what type of speakers you want to recruit. And we'll also talk a little bit about sponsorship in that module as well, because that's a really cool thing to do for your virtual summit. Module 2 talks about speaker recruitment and management, how to find your speakers, how to choose your speakers, and then also how to manage them once they're selected, because trying to wrangle a bunch of people all over the place is a little difficult, but there are some tools that you can use for that. And then we'll talk about event tech in module 3, and that's the platforms that you use: cameras, lights, mics, anything that you might need to run that event. Then we'll talk about virtual experience and talk about ways that you can create that experience for your attendees. How can you break that kind of fourth wall and get them engaged with the content? Then we'll talk about marketing, what ways you can leverage like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, maybe webinars to bring people into your summit, because you can't have a summit without attendees. And then the last module is hosting, and that's talking about actually hosting the event on the days of your event, how to engage with your attendees, how to get feedback, how to do any troubleshooting while you're hosting the event.
I love it. That sounds good. Yeah, really well-rounded, everything you need to run your first summit or your next summit, So it's amazing. So awesome. So I'm just going to take a look here and see if there's any other questions. But Shayla was saying that she loves using StreamYard because you can customize the look, but it doesn't integrate with Zoom. You can use Zoom as well. Zoom has the breakout sessions, which is kind of cool. And definitely worth it depending on how many people you have attending your summit. She says, great advice. Thank you as well to Jeff Bates, Dole Whip Dad. Awesome. Great. So Saidah, as we round out here, what's the best way to take a look at this course that you're launching, and then also to connect with you after this session?
Sure. So the course website is hosted at smmediaent.com/virtual-summit-crash-course. I know it's long and confusing, but that's how Wix allowed me to do it. So Virtual Summit Crash Course. You can also connect with me on Facebook. Our business page is at the Creatress Universe. On Instagram at the Creatress Universe. You can find me on Instagram at Saidah Murphy. I always post information and links that you can easily find there to get to this content as well. So I'm easy to find.
There you go. Perfect. Sounds good. And I want to say before we go, I got to say thank you to Grace Duffy for connecting us.
Thank you so much, Grace.
Thank you, Grace. Awesome. Saidah, thank you so much for this session. I think it's been really informative. I've had a ton of notes for the next summit that we're going to run. We'll definitely be checking out your course. So guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll see you guys in the next video.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.